Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. I'm delighted on this episode to be talking with creator Austin Hamblin. Austin is someone who is well versed in the world of comics and creating Smile If You Farted, I believe, is one of the titles, The Adventures of Punk and Rock as well. So, some wonderful work from you that's out there. And on this episode, we're talking about a title called Big Guns. Stupid Rednecks. Is this true?
Yes, it absolutely is.
That's that is the title. What got you into comics? How did you get into comics and storytelling?
So, like, as a reader, how I came to comics, like, I had started, in like the Disney Adventure magazines and Nickelodeon magazines had short comics in it, and I always liked them. But I'd randomly pick up, a issue of like a Bongo comic from the spinner rack, but I was like kind of a reluctant reader when I was younger.
Mhm.
And the reality just was I hadn't found the right things that I wanted to read yet. And my uncle would buy all of me and my cousins a gift card to a bookstore for Christmas. And I got that one year and I'm like, I don't like to read. And we were looking around and I was like, I'm going to buy comics. That's not real reading. Uh, and I got the Lee Kirby Fantastic Four reprints, and I started on those, and it just clicked. Like that was, and I was like, this is awesome. And
Mhm.
that solidified me into loving comics. And then years later, I like as a kid, I always played with my toys, and but I would have ongoing storylines over weeks and months with my toys in my room. There would be over here, these people are in this place doing this thing at the same time as this is happening over here. And eventually I'm like, hey, this would be a pretty good comic. So I just started writing them and then eventually made my way to here.
Nice, nice, lovely story, lovely story. Now, what can readers expect from this book? Very interesting title, certainly eye-catching title. What are the tones that you're after? What are the parts of this that you want to get across?
Well, the elevator pitch that I give for it is that aliens are abducting rednecks and forcing them into laser gun gladiatorial combat for Intergalactic Cable's newest hit show, Big Guns, Stupid Rednecks. So it's just a lot of fun, but there is more depth to it than that. Retired Detective Clint looks into the disappearance of his white trash brother, only himself to be abducted and find himself in the arena for Big Gun Stupid Rednecks, where his younger brother is the reigning champion with 27 kills.
Thanks. I am from the country. This is a strikingly believable premise. Where did the ideas come from? Where did the spark for this originate from?
So half of it is, there's that phrase that people throw around to writers, and they'll say, "Write what you know." I grew up and I still live in rural Iowa. I'm the son of a third generation farmer. Like all my relatives have what you would consider jobs to be around like agriculture, like picking up milk from farms, semis, and different things like that. And I've always been infatuated by rednecks and comics. So this is kind of my twist on the X-Men villain Mojo. And it's like, what if
Ah,
Mojo, but with rednecks?
nice, nice. I'm also a Mojo fan. I had the action figure, which was a grotesque
Oh,
but
it's
beautiful thing.
it's awesome. It's gross looking, but it's yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned being from Iowa, and I've done some looking through your work, and this is a part that's clearly on your website. I'm curious, is there kind of a ritual that gets you into the creative space? I'm always interested in kind of writing process, or are there things that you do that get you into that creative space and zone for writing?
That's a really good question. I'm like a big believer in there's not a like one definitive way to write. There's a lot of people that'll be like, you have to be in a quiet environment with no distractions. People say that. Sometimes I will be laying in bed typing things out on my phone. Um,
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
it hits, it hits. I think like the big thing is like, especially, when I started doing this, it was like, you work a day job, so you have to do it when you can. So I used to say that I was like a lunchtime warrior. Like I'd get up, I'd go to work on my lunch break, I'd zoom my lunch into my gullet and work on something either in a notebook or on my phone in my car on my lunch break, go back to work, and then as soon as I get home, hit and work on something. Um, I don't know if there's one thing that puts me in the mindset for it, because I think now that I have been doing this and like really want to do it, there's not like I can't really wait to be inspired. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
like I had heard someone say once when I was younger that if you treat it like a hobby, it will always be a hobby. If you treat it as if it's as important as your job, you can make it into your career.
That's good advice. I like that.
And it's true. And that's not there is nothing against people who wait for inspiration. It's just, it depends on what your goals are and what you want out of it. So, yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. We talked a little bit about what comics have done for you as a reader and getting that Jack and Stan kind of Fantastic Four look and everything. What do they open up for you as a writer?
I really like being able to play to the medium. And I,
Mhm.
I think with whatever you're telling a story in, you need to play to the things that you can only do in that specific medium. And in comics, there's some fun things that you can do. I think sound effects are super fun. I like doing time shifts and place shifts. Um, Obviously the thought balloon isn't around, but being able to do captions sometimes to get into someone's head is great. But the biggest thing that I love to do in comics is the page turn. You can
Mhm.
control, and
Mhm.
you can use the lettering on a page to control where the reader's eye goes and lead them. Um, but the page turn is the biggest thing that you control. If you want to have a reveal, they cannot see it, and then it's the first thing they see when they turn the page. And that's a big thing that Jack Kirby always did that I loved, was that pages 2 and 3 on so many of his books would be that huge showing the world and whatever's going on, and really would pull you in. So it's like, let's do it. And that's kind of the fun. It's to do the snappy dialogue and kind of control the pace. And the thing about comics that is a little different than most other mediums is you come in by yourself as a reader.
Mhm.
You can watch a movie with friends and experience the same things at the same time. You can listen to a song with someone and exact same thing. And even if me and you both started reading a comic at the same time, we're not going to experience it in the exact same way as the other person. And I just think that's
Mhm.
super exciting.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Such a cool medium, and glad that you found that Fantastic Four issue so many years ago, and glad you got launched on this path.
Oh, me too. I tell my uncle that, like, I do believe that like one small event can like change the trajectory of someone's life. Because what if
Hmm.
I had, said, I don't like reading, so I'm not going to use this gift card. I don't care. It was a gift. And
Yeah.
and maybe I find something later that brings me into reading, and maybe I don't, or maybe I do and I never decide, and it's not comics. You don't know, but what I do know is that is what led me to here, and so I am like eternally grateful to him for that.
Yeah, yeah. What do you envision next in your creating, and what are the details for Big Guns Stupid Rednecks? Where can we go and find out more and support and get copies and things like that?
Yeah, so Big Gun Stupid Rednecks, the collected edition, which has everything, it's the entire story with a bunch of bonus material as well. That is hitting comic book stores July 22nd, and it is currently on pre-order from Source Point Press, powered by Prana Direct Market Solutions. So they're available for order from your comic shops right now. You can let them know what you're looking for, and it's very easy to do that. The other things that I have going, I actually just a couple weeks ago started as a staff writer for Comic Book Resources. Um,
Oh,
so I've had a few articles go up already, and then a bunch more are on the way, and I'm really excited for that. They're gonna see my name on a lot of. I'll be doing news and features and lists. So just, you know, writing about comics, I'm happy to do that as well. And I just, before we got on here, maybe an hour ago, I launched a Kickstarter campaign for Hospice the Collector, which is part of a shared horror universe, where there are these hospices all around the world that the worst people go to die in. And my story is about a comic collector who has amassed the world's greatest comic collection, but he's done so by doing horrible, horrible deeds.
uh, the true cost of comics, the true cost of comics.
Well, the weird thing about it is that it is based off of a relative of mine that actually passed away in a hospice. He unexpectedly died at 48. This is about 6 years ago, and he left me his entire comic collection. And I was taken back. Like I guess like we used to joke around about that, but it's not something that you actually ever think about. And slowly reading stuff from his collection, I read comics that I would have never tried otherwise. And I discovered a lot of amazing books and runs. And about 6 months after he passed, as like, and this is a huge collection, it's 40 years of collecting. I read the original Death of Captain Marvel by Jim Starlin, and that really helped me kind of grieve his death reading that. And he read horror and superhero books, so I thought, you know what? He would have loved this. So we named and modeled the character off of him, and I spoke with his brother, and he's like, yeah, Al would have loved this. So it's all about Al, to honor him.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. 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 Uh, are there any social media spaces, any spaces online that listeners should go to check out the work? You mentioned Kickstarter, so we'll make sure that that's linked. But any other spaces you'd like to mention?
I am active on like every form of social media. I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky. But I do a Substack newsletter about usually about once a week, not no more than that. Um, and I talk about all kinds of things. I tell people that my newsletter isn't, and I mention the stuff that I have going on, but it doesn't exist for me to sell stuff to you, because
Mm,
you have more value to me as a human than just a what you can buy from me. But I'm kind of figuring out my own life and feelings on things out in the open so that hopefully maybe somebody can read it and not feel alone, and be like, oh, I felt that way too. And so yeah, I'm on Substack and love that. And I'm all over. I'm very easy to find. If anybody follows me on social media from listening to this interview, if they message me saying they came because of this interview, I will send them some digital PDFs of things that I've written as a thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for that, and glad to share about the work. Um, is there anything that we've missed that you want to make sure to include before we close out?
I don't think so. I have one thing that I like to share, when I do this when I talk at schools, and the best thing about comics is that all you need is a pencil and a piece of paper, and you can make a comic. I have very limited artistic abilities, but I draw my own autobiographical comics in stick figure. Like if Harvey Pekar never met Robert Crumb is what we're doing, but you still know what's going on. So that's the best thing about it is if you want to do it, nobody can stop you.